Hello and welcome to my channel here at Nick Reads Books. My name is Nick and today I'm going to be going through all the books that I managed to read in the months of September and October. The last video I uploaded on this channel was my August wrap-up. Obviously it's been just over 2 months since then. I've had quite a good reading period over that time. I've read quite a few books and all of them have been, I would say, good to very good. So let's jump into the books that I read in September and October. So starting off the month of September, I read Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. This is the second book in the Red Rising series and probably the best second book in a series that I've ever read. It was very solid. Going from the Red Rising, which was quite a condensed story, one location, sort of Hunger Games-esque, this one really expands on the world and we get to visit a range of different locations, lunar, and just the scale and consequences of the actions of our main characters is put on display in this book. It really opens up into that grander space opera and the pace is breakneck. I couldn't put this book down. It's just action after action from the get-go. I would absolutely recommend this series to anyone, and I am currently reading Morning Star, the third book. After completing Golden Sun by Pierce Brown, I jumped into the 6th book of the Wheel of Time, Lord of Chaos. I'm trying to get through the Wheel of Time series as my next big series currently. I've taken a bit of a break the last 2 months, well, the last month after finishing the Lord of Chaos, just to read a few smaller books, which I'll get to in a second. But overall, I really enjoyed this entry into the Wheel of Time. As usual, Robert Jordan knows how to finish off a book and really get that payoff. I'm still struggling a little bit with the female characters of the book. Just, they don't know how to get along with each other and it's kind of grinding on me at the moment. But we had some real great revelations. The world building, the magic we're coming to learn more about it. Rand is easily becoming one of my favorite main characters and chosen one trope characters. I really enjoy Matt, and it was great to see Perrin again, even if it was just for a short time. But really excited to jump into the 7th book, probably before the end of the year. After finishing The Lord of Chaos by Robert Jordan, I jumped into the 3rd book of the Faithful and the Fallen series, Ruin, by John Gwynne. I was following along with the read-along, but I've kind of fallen behind on that one, but absolutely amazing series, one of the best fantasy series I've read currently. Ruin is by far, I would say, the best book of the 3, but that isn't to say the other 2 are bad. The whole series currently is amazing, and if he manages to land the ending, it will go down as easily one of my favorite series. I think one thing that I said in my August wrap-up about Wrath was how well John Gwynne does his fight sequences and just absolutely epic battles, and they're definitely not lacking in his book series, especially The Faithful and the Fallen, but I would absolutely recommend this series to anyone who wants that real classic sort of medieval fantasy with a sprinkle of magic systems, but mainly focused on that sword and shield sort of battling. Having completed those 2 large books in the Lord of Chaos and Ruin, I wanted to jump into something a bit lighter, more of a palate cleanser, and something just that I could fly through, and I thought it was about time that I jumped into Mistborn Era 2 by Brandon Sanderson, starting with The Alloy of Law. The unique thing about the Alloy of Law is, I would say, it's almost a standalone in the 4 books that make up Era 2. It's quite a contained story. Obviously we have a lot of crossover with the later books. Obviously a range of characters come back in the 2nd book, but I feel like Alloy of Law is quite a nice self-contained Western fantasy book. And I've heard that Mistborn Era 2 is not for everyone. Currently I am enjoying the series, and to me, Brandon Sanderson can't put a step wrong. It was awesome to see all the callbacks to Mistborn Era 1, having all those main characters, Vin, Ellen, Caesar, and the whole gang being referred to in the Spook, especially being referred to in this era or series. Yeah, I really enjoyed that, and it was great to be back in this world with the magic systems with the different metals. I like on one hand what Brandon has done with the magic system, but I think the lack of any real Mistborns may be a downside in the future. I'd love to see a character who can use all of the metals again, but you know, we'll wait and see. But otherwise, moving on to the next book, that being The Shadow of Self. Having finished The Alloy Lawyer, I jumped straight into the next book in Mistborn Era 2. These books are quite short, quite easy to get through. I listened to a large chunk of the audiobooks for both as well. I love myself a bit of Michael Kramer. And unlike The Alloy of Lawyer, it was evident from the start of this book that this was going to be a part of a larger, more overarching story for the following books in Era 2. I liked the few Cosmere nods that we got in this book, and how the history and culture has evolved since the end of Era 1. How certain characters put in place mechanisms to try and make a better world, but the world is still falling into that same trap that we found in Era 1, poor versus the rich. And from all accounts, the Bands of Mourning, the third book in Era 2, is even better than the first two. So I'm looking forward to jumping into them at some point in the near future. Now, for a bit of change of pace, I've been really getting back into reading a lot of manga. With the recent release of Season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen, I've started picking up the manga again. I've got all 20 volumes that are currently out on in the English, and I read volumes 10, 11, 12, and 13 over the last 2 months. Cannot recommend this manga enough. It's absolutely amazing. The art style I really enjoy. I'm really enjoying the story. It's a rather darker story for most of the new gen in comparison to your My Hero Academia or Black Clover, those sorts of things. Yeah, not for the lighthearted. Not to say that there's any real grotesque things. Just it's very, I don't know, Game of Thrones. Your characters aren't safe, is how I'll put it. But I really recommend the manga, and I'd really recommend anyone checking out the anime if they're into that sort of thing. So that concludes my September and October wrap up. Got through about 5 books and 4 volumes of manga, so quite a good period of time for me. As I stated, I'm currently in the middle of Morning Star by Pierce Brown, and I'm also reading The Troop by Nick Cutter, a horror novel, my first horror novel that I've ever read. Wanted to get through that in October, but just got pushed to the wayside with a couple of other books. I've been reading that the last couple of days, and it started to kick into that horror aspect. I'm about a quarter of the way through that and enjoying that at the moment. I've heard a couple of other booktubers on here talk about The Troop and how amazing it is and quite how gruesome it gets, and the themes that are presented in the book. Started to get a bit of that now, and I can't wait to see where that continues. Thanks for watching my video. I'll see you back here soon with my November TBR, and feel free to like and subscribe. Any sort of support helps, and see ya.